Hey man, have you ever heard of Julian Assange?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's that they serve it's like Dairy Queen's little mall thing, right? Dairy Queen
Orange Julius?
They've got like smoothies and stuff.
That's really good.
Oh my gosh.
Theater people.
We just love the theater. The whole atmosphere. You know, we just love going. And if you don't get popcorn, you don't get the experience.
I can't say most words, and I feel like I just said extradition very well.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a word, but go ahead.
Yeah, we need to arrest that guy.
We hate this guy.
Things I learned last night.
Not Orange Julius, Julian Assange.
It's pretty close.
Have you ever heard of him?
Sorry, is that the French's version of it? That's what they call it over there. It's just Orange Julius, but over there they call it Julius Assange. Hey, let's go to Julius Assange. That sounds legitimately like what they
it does kind of sound. I mean, you got me there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I know who this guy is. Let's just go on.
Do you?
Yeah, he's the WikiLeaks guy.
Oh, hey.
I don't know anything beyond that though.
Oh, okay.
Well, I know he's got a bad haircut.
Yeah, he does have a pretty rough haircut.
Yeah,
he's had a few haircuts.
Julius Assange and the owner of the now Las Vegas Raiders, they go to the same barber. I'll tell you what. Have you seen the owner of the Raiders? Why don't you just Google Raiders owner?
Yeah, let me grab a picture of him.
Sure.
I'll grab a picture of him and I'll grab a picture of the Raiders owner.
Imagine like a puppet's hair.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It's pretty bad.
That's probably the best description of his hair I have
like a doll
ever heard.
Like a little puppet, you know? And that's what the hair on this human being looks like. You got it pulled up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm loading it into ProPres right now. So give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, cut this part out.
Okay.
Also, never mind. Just leave it in.
So here is the owner of the Raiders.
That's what I'm saying. Like his hair looks like it's
it looks like
this man is worth so much money.
Yeah.
And he gives his barber none of it.
I bet he does this himself.
He's got to cut his own hair.
He cuts his own hair. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Choose a different picture where he's outside because the sun reflects off of it differently.
Yeah. He's got like some ginger hair.
This is like a good picture. This is the best picture that exists of this man. This is a good picture of this guy. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty rough
I'll
hair.
say this about him though. Joyful.
He's a happy man for someone with such bad hair.
Look at the wrinkles on his face. You can tell that he smiles like this a lot.
You don't smile like that unless you're genuinely happy. But Julian Assange, here's a picture of Julian Assange. Very similar haircut. You can tell they go to the same place.
That was fun. That was fun. I like it. Audio listener, he just put a picture of John Christ up there. Oh, no.
There's a picture of Orange Julius.
Yeah.
Julian
cut that
Assange.
John Christ joke out. Yeah, see, he looks like, okay, so Julius Assange looks like, now, I don't know how fast you can do this.
Okay.
Okay, but if you can pull up a picture of the Oakland Raiders owner and Malfoy from Harry Potter. The best way I can describe Julius Assange is that he looks like he plays the clarinet.
Did you say Julius Assange?
Whatever his name is. Julian Assange.
Julius
I know.
Assange.
I'm stuck on Orange Julius now. Julian Assange.
He looks like he plays the clarinet.
Look at him.
Best.
Doesn't he look like that?
That's the best description of anybody I've ever heard. He looks like he plays the clarinet. Here's Draco.
Yep.
Here's Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders.
And you're telling me that these two put together equals this person.
Julian Assange. That's pretty accurate. That's a pretty good. Yeah, that's a pretty obvious A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Anyway, tell me about him.
Yeah. So Julian Assange, he's famous for starting WikiLeaks, which you've probably heard of because they started Wikipedia. They didn't do that. They're a different thing.
Why don't you tell us what WikiLeaks is?
Okay.
Are you going to in this?
I mean, now's a good time.
Yeah, give the listener an idea.
WikiLeaks is a website where if you have something that you wanted to, I don't know, leak to the public, you could log in there and you could anonymously give all your information. And then what WikiLeaks would do is they would review it and determine whether or not it was legitimate. And then they would publish it for you anonymously. And so they weren't actually going out and getting any of this stuff on their own.
This was sourced information.
This was sourced information.
But how are they verifying it?
I don't
Do we
know.
know?
They read it and they say,
They go, this might
seems
be
real.
Yeah, that's why last week I went on there and I typed, my friend Timothy J. Stone is the Count of Saint Germain. Submit.
And it worked.
Yeah, it's on there.
I think you have to include like documents. I think there has to be like.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I uploaded a whole folder of just.
It's been my data I've been collecting on you for decades.
I'm like, look how old this guy looks.
There's like images that you've doctored and like all these like documents from the FBI that you photoshopped.
Yeah.
About me being okay. That's great.
Look at this picture of him wearing an FBI hat.
He knows about the FBI. He must be a part of it.
So it's a site that you could leak information through.
Yeah, if you had something about...
And they would, were they kind of based on a feeling? Did they have fact checkers? Did they have any kind of...
I think they did. Like, I don't think it was just like, this feels real. Like, because you had to release your documents and
This
stuff.
feels real. There's just someone who goes, I don't get a good feeling about this one.
They printed it out and they had...
They have like 4 manila folders laying on the table, all closed. And then someone just goes, I'm getting a good feeling from this one.
Good about this one. They had
This one feels like Scientology. But this one
feels real. No, they had scales in their office, like old-fashioned scales, and then they had a document that they owned, that they had purchased.
Like, this is truth.
That was real. They would put that on one side and they'd put it on the other side. And if it balanced, then it was true. That's how they did it.
This one's a make 'em up.
So they would publish these documents, and they've gotten pretty famous because there's been a lot of very major
Classified things that they publish.
that have come directly from WikiLeaks. And Julian Assange is the founder of WikiLeaks. He was born in 1971 in Australia to parents who were theater people. They watched a lot of movies.
Oh
We're
my gosh.
theater people.
We just love the theater. The whole atmosphere. We just love going. And if you don't get popcorn, you don't get the experience.
They traveled around Australia, and they would put on these productions.
Oh, okay.
And they acted sometimes, but more than acting, they like produced these plays and musicals and things like that. And so by the time Julian graduated high school, he had lived in 30 different cities.
Oh, wow.
And gone to 30 different schools. And met 30 different people.
Just one person at each school.
I'm only allowed to meet one of you. Who will it be?
What's he pointing? He's deciding.
Hello, class. We have a new student today.
Yeah. He hushes the teacher. I've got a good feeling about that one.
Meet me outside at recess. Tell me everything you know about the Australian government.
And the kid is just like, it's like first grade.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I'm like 8.
No, sir, I am young.
He says, I'm glad you picked me because, man, I am very old.
Yeah, but what if he finds like the kid who does know a lot about the government, though,
He's like, okay, I got you, bro.
Do you think children are conspiracy theorists? Do you think there's like conspiracy theorist kids out there?
Oh, for sure. I was one of them.
Okay, go ahead then. Julian Assange. So he's a diverse life.
Yeah.
Just like
He's experienced a lot of things all over the Australian outback and front back. Or
what?
If outback is...
Wouldn't it be out front?
Out front. I was going to say in back.
He knows the outback, the out front, the in back, and the in front.
Been to them all. So Julian's got a wide array of experiences. And he ges really into computers when he's in high school. So much so that by the
When
way,
he's in high school, this is like the 80s.
yeah, this is the 80s. So much so that in the 80s, he joined an ethical hacking group. Which, if you don't know, there's such a thing as ethical hacking. Basically, what it is you and all your hacker buddies, you find organizations, whether they're companies or governments or crime syndicates,
Sure.
that are doing illegal things, and you hack them, and you make it to where you change their passwords and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or you find
You just stumble across one of their computers still logged into Facebook and you post in their status and you go, I got hacked. And they're so embarrassed
They're so
that they
embarrassed.
reveal all their secrets.
they stop being a bad person.
Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. I have to change my ways.
You embarrassed me into purity. That was youth group in the 2000s.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's not peer pressure, it's fear pressure.
Oh man.
You're really letting that one wash over you. Terrible.
So he got into ethical hacking.
Yeah.
In the 80s, and there are some
Ethical hacking groups still.
yeah, there's plenty of them, and in fact, it's a huge thing. Like governments have ethical hacking squadrons
Okay.
that are ethically hacking their enemies, which at that point the word ethical comes into question.
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, anything is ethical as long as you are convinced that what you're doing is good.
Mm-hmm.
But even if what you're doing is good, is evil. If you have decided that it's good, then
Yep.
it's ethical.
Yep.
We could get into a whole thing here, but we're not professors,
We're not ethics.
and one of us has a degree.
Great. And so there is allegedly he was involved in the major in 1989. There was a major hack against the NASA.
The NASA.
It was a worm virus, which were popular in the 80s. Basically, it was a bug that went into the computer and just broke everything, known as WANK, which was Worms Against Nuclear Killers, which I don't think the NASA built nukes ever.
Sure,
But they did build rockets, which were
could be
strapped
propelling
to nukes.
nukes.
Anyways, there's allegedly he was a part of that, and either a part of developing the WANK virus or did develop it and
Sure.
send it, which is the type of thing. It does fall in line with the type of thing that
You're just
he
telling this part of the
constantly
story
did.
very slowly, just so you know.
Sorry, do you
You're
need me
like,
to speed
he
up?
developed a
If that was too
virus,
slow for you, then
allegedly,
change it to double speed.
that
Go back, change it to double speed,
maybe
and play it again.
was used against NASA. And I don't think that NASA
Okay,
was
whatever, fine.
making
I'll talk faster, okay?
nukes.
Jeez, okay, you ready?
But he may or may not have. Do you hear?
it's like the friend.
do you
in
feel how
Malcolm in the
crazy
Middle.
you're sounding right now? Are you annoyed that I'm talking like that? 'Cause we all are too.
Yeah,
all of us.
yeah.
All
Okay,
of us.
okay.
All
right.
three of us that listen
All
to this
right,
episode.
fine. I get it. You could have just said, "Hey,
also,
talk faster."
quit talking with your mug. What are you doing? Put the mug down.
I'm holding the mug.
I can't. I'm so distracted by the fact that you're just like. Anyway. So here you're talking with it. You're talking with it like it's Velcroed to your hand, right? You're just like, all right. Anyway,
We Velcroed this to my hand before the shoot. We super glued a Velcro strip to the palm of my hand.
yeah.
and Velcroed.
We had two options. We could have super glued the cup to your hand.
But that would damage the cup.
Yeah, you're right. We needed to super glue Velcro to your hand. We'd have let that dry. Then we had to put Velcro on the mug.
Which we
And
super
then-
glued to the
yes,
mug.
obviously. And then now we have, and you just ripped your skin off.
It hurt a lot.
You can't put that mug down for the rest of the episode.
Got it.
Deal?
Deal.
Very funny.
Shake
Great.
my hand. Okay, so
We should quit. We can't do this. We made it. We made it some time. All right, but we should give up.
so Julian, he was
Allegedly
this
part of a
wank-
hacking group, part of an ethical hacking group. They did some things that maybe people knew about.
Yeah, this wank thing was very much in line with the type of stuff that he was
Sure.
doing. He was really big on. He was very anti-war.
Bro, slow down.
And so.
I knew. As soon as I told you, as soon as you were like, "I'm gonna talk real fast," I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a joke." All right.
His dad was a big anti-war guy.
Okay.
For years before this, and so it seems like Julian picked
Was that
up.
all their plays were like anti-war plays?
Yeah.
Okay.
They would roll into town and they'd be like, invite everyone. This is War Crimes, the musical.
It was like a Heaven's Gate, Hell's Flames kind of thing, but it was about war.
But it was about war.
I love that for them.
Yeah. So he was always very
Activist,
big anti.
very aware of what was happening in the world. Very
Yes.
And
Yes.
were his parents? Would you call his parents activists or not?
I would call them activists.
Okay.
And so he got into a little bit of activism himself, mostly through hacking.
Yeah.
Activism, if you will.
Right.
And so he hacked a lot of stuff. And then in
This is fun. Why don't you type something? I saw your brain try to figure it out. I saw your brain look at the keyboard and then look at the mug. You can put the mug down to type.
No, I can't. It's Velcro to my hand. I figured it out. So in the late 90s, he began working on this project that would
Okay.
eventually become WikiLeaks, which he released in October of 2006.
Okay.
Which Wikipedia very nicely told me is 15 years ago incorrectly. It's actually 16 years ago.
Yeah. Hasn't been updated.
So anyways, WikiLeaks comes out and almost immediately becomes a worldwide firestorm because they started leaking things.
Yeah, but like, how do you build a leaking website? You know, how like what is the first thing? Like, you're like, I want to build a place where people leak things, and then you just go, what do you just like be like? Hey, does anybody have anything they want to leak? Like, what do you? How do you?
Yeah, I think.
And then someone in a cubicle at your office is like, I've been waiting for this day.
I've got something. I think it's similar to like I'm sure it was just a contact form. You would upload all your stuff, and then
I mean, I understand how the website works. I'm saying, how do you get the word out?
marketing.
Oh, okay.
They started a big $1 billion ad campaign. They had a Super Bowl ad.
Okay.
It was like, got a big secret about the United States government?
Oh, I was thinking like expose the secrets you know, and then you just get people being like, my neighbor's cheating on his wife, and they put that on WikiLeaks.
Put that on WikiLeaks. No, they were more concerned with war.
Okay.
Well, they released this file that has since been dubbed the Collateral Murder footage. From a airstrike in Baghdad. And this was obviously the middle of the
Operation
War on Terror.
Yeah.
And in this video, the video is pretty horrible. There's a group of what the pilots of this helicopter seem to think are militants.
Right.
But it's just a group of like locals walking through the town. And they thought they were holding guns. They're actually reporters from Reuters reporting on the war.
Oh.
And they had big cameras with long lenses that they were capturing things with. And so they were talking back and forth with the local forward base and basically trying to get permission to fire on them. Eventually they got it and they engaged them, killed them all. But there was kids there. And the horrible part about the video is you can hear the pilots and the gunners like laughing and cracking jokes while they're shooting these people.
Oh, yeah.
And then at the end of it, you hear one of them says, well, that's what you get for bringing your kids to a gunfight. And the other guy's like, yeah.
Yikes.
And so like it was a very
Explosive
very bad
video. Right.
footage.
Horrible.
And that comes out. that hits the news and it becomes a giant media firestorm.
Right. And that was like their first big leak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they had leaked other stuff, but this was the first. Yeah. This was the first thing that
they put the story out about the neighbor's wife and all that stuff. They did the small ones, but
they were doing a lot of the
this was
ones.
their big one.
This was their big one, and this was almost overnight, instant worldwide news.
Oh, for sure.
Everyone was talking about it and covering it.
Well, I mean, like, and do you think that's shaped internet culture now? Because internet culture now is just like you can just put stuff. Like I see Twitter videos that are just like, exposing people online.
Maybe. Maybe, because I don't know if I remember a time before that. I mean, to be fair, before 2006, there wasn't a lot of opportunity.
There wasn't a lot of internet
for you to put your own stuff on the internet.
That's true. Yeah.
Like YouTube didn't exist.
You would have had to have money and
exist.
resource to put things out for
There
sure.
was MySpace. There was places where you could post stuff, but it was a lot less than
Anyway.
now. The internet's definitely more us than it is someone else now. Anyways, that's an interesting idea. Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. If you like our show, make sure to leave a podcast review in whatever platform you use, or if you're on YouTube, drop a comment. If you want to listen to another episode, my favorite right now is Jose Canseco. It's this guy in the MLB who really brought steroids mainstream for the sport and did a lot of other just absolutely insane stuff. And there might be a little bit of aliens in it. So check that episode out. It's one of my favorites. But thanks for being here. But along with this video, this was the explosive thing that got all the media attention. But along with this video, there was about, and you're not going to believe this, 750,000 documents from the war in Iraq. And
how is someone leaking this kind of stuff?
so the way this happened, this specific leak came from a woman named Chelsea Manning.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And she was at the time, she has since transitioned to Chelsea. I don't remember what her name was before then, but she was a soldier in the Iraq war, and she was like traumatized by the experience and realized there was a lot of corruption and a lot of just terrible things happening there, and realized above all else that the numbers of deaths and civilian casualties were severely
underreported.
Yeah. We were severely underreporting them. And so she, with the help of Julian Assange, she kind of got in touch with him at WikiLeaks, got kind of some tips on how to hack into their computers, and at the forward land base, she was able to get into
oh my gosh,
one of the computers, and she just downloaded everything onto a jump drive. And then later when she made it back to the States, she uploaded that to WikiLeaks.
And the video is included in that upload. Got it.
And there's other videos.
Obviously the video is what takes, that's clearly
that was one of the strongest, because it's a video and you could hear the way that they were talking.
Right.
It was just a horrible video.
It plays well on the news.
Yeah.
Not, not
it's the type of thing that the news is going to pick up and run.
Right.
And
misreported numbers, horrible, does news, but you got a video that shows soldiers with their just apathetic response.
What was wild was along with in those documents, there was stuff about the numbers, about how much higher the real numbers were, about a lot of airstrikes and how so many of those airstrikes, there was no combatants.
Just details of war crimes.
Straight up war crimes.
Yeah.
And a lot of backdoor deals with different countries to secure resources while they're there. Crazy. Just, it was a very, very bad release for the U.S. government.
Yeah.
And so
it was when people realized, the government's still sketchy.
Yeah. And needless to say, when this comes out, the United States was like, that Julian Assange guy, we don't like him. And they really, really wanted to arrest him. At this point.
But for what?
For telling all their secrets.
But it could.
Here's what's interesting to me. He's an Australian-born human. And at this point, he was living in the UK. Not an American citizen, not involved at all. And at the end of the day, all he did was publish a bunch of documents.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
The issue was these documents were classified documents that were stolen.
Yeah. But he didn't steal them.
But he didn't. He did.
He helped.
He did aid and abet.
Got it.
So he was a part of it, but there's still. It feels like they want to make an example out of him.
Oh
honestly.
yeah, for sure. They're like, hey, don't do this.
Yeah, and so they immediately began.
Which is exactly why I think that all conspiracy theorists on YouTube are all wrong. Because if they were right, the government would be like, don't do that.
Yeah.
You know? But they're so wrong that it's just like, whatever.
They just don't care.
Oh yeah. Oh, you can make a little YouTube channel. Great.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, I was thinking. I mean, it's a tangent. It's too far.
Yeah. We don't have much time for this.
Okay, so
Just get to the point.
so
Julian Assange, he's like a guy, you know, and he made a website and some stuff came out through that website and he's still a guy. Fiddle Off.
So Chelsea Manning gets arrested. She serves, I think it's 7 years.
leaking.
7 years in prison.
Yep.
They begin to build their case against Julian Assange. Julian Assange becomes public enemy number one.
And I
of
bet
the United States.
they were like, hey, you can reduce your time if you like. They were probably working that angle hard,
Probably.
for her prison sentence stuff.
I'm sure. Meanwhile,
And
Julian,
she dipped, right? She's not in the United States anymore.
I'm not certain on that.
Okay, so that's a different tangent.
But Julian, meanwhile, had become almost like a hero pretty much everywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Pretty much everywhere else in the world. They were like, that was really cool what you did.
It's almost like it's like vigilante justice.
Yeah. And so he was doing these almost TED Talk type events all over the world talking about.
Well, this is also
this.
one of the scariest things about the internet was that, we don't have the ability to cover things up anymore. Like, you know, that's why they wanted to make an example of him. It was like, hey, you can't use the internet. This fairly new thing that is still out here. You're not allowed to use it to do this.
Yep.
You know?
And so
of course.
that was what was interesting is the United States was really mad, but pretty much every other country was like that was really cool.
Because it wasn't about them.
Yeah.
And they had to come out with a PR that was like, yeah, we love that, you know, because we have nothing to hide.
We love what you're doing.
We love what you're doing.
Yeah, don't look at us.
Jules.
Don't look at us. So pretty much every country loved him, and he did like this book tour type thing.
Yeah,
where he was doing these speaking engagements and doing these talk shows and stuff like that, talking about all this stuff.
But he didn't write a book. He just released a 750,000
classified documents about the United States war crimes.
People are bringing it. He's signing the leaked document.
He's like, you guys know I didn't write this, right?
No, but in a way you did.
You wrote it in the annals of history.
They're bringing their home computer for him to sign. They're standing in line with a giant monitor under the.
It's one of those Dells.
Yeah, dude. Orange Julius is gonna sign my computer.
Orange Julius. Hey, could I get a large banana mama? And also, could you sign my computer?
Banana mama? Is that what you just went for?
Yeah. I don't remember what the drinks were there.
I don't either.
Are Orange Julius still around?
Yeah.
I haven't seen an Orange Julius in years.
Because you haven't been to a mall in years. Right, exactly.
We went on my birthday. Bree bought me a bunch of new clothes.
Oh, I'm glad you got super defensive when you said that too. I was like, to the mall. Bree bought me a bunch of clothes. I love that your sugar mama's taking care of you, dude.
She was like, for your birthday, here's what happened. Here's a couple things that have happened over the past couple of years.
She's like, we're going to go.
Over the past couple of years, I used to work at a church and now I don't, which means
I'm going to take you to
majority
Zoomies
of my wardrobe.
So you can just dress how you want to.
The majority of my wardrobe
was church merch,
which I'm not mad about it, but it's also like, wow,
but it's also like,
why every shirt I wear is
from your previous employer.
From my previous, which is a little weird.
It'd be like if you got fired from Pizza Hut, but you still drove around with that thing on the top of the car.
And so she took me
I think they let you keep that.
They don't let you, but you can.
Did Picklemans have one? Did you have to put one on top of your car? I
never put it on my car because those things, they're these super powered magnets. They dent your car. They dent the roof of your car.
Do they really?
Yeah, they do. Every time you put them on and pull them off, they dent it. It was so annoying. And they would get really mad whenever.
And you cared.
Whenever I did, because I had a nice car then.
The car you had then is objectively better than the car you have now.
Yes, absolutely. And corporate would come. They'd be like, "You got to use that." And I'd be like, "You don't pay me enough for me to use that." And I'd go out and I'd just go. Anyways, this is not important. So Bree took me to the mall. To
Zoomies.
To Zoomies and all the stores that I like.
Did you shop at Zoomies?
Well, yeah, I went to all those stores. It was very disappointing.
His eyes got so embarrassed when I said that because his eyes were like, "Yeah, that's exactly where we went."
Here's what's frustrating.
Yeah, here's what's frustrating.
Growing up, I was a PacSun, Zoomies, Hot Topic, Vans, Journeys, all of those stores, they don't pander to me anymore. They have lowered their standards. And now,
hold on. You're saying that you had high standards before.
No.
Now when you go in, you're like, these.
I'm saying I want to go into a Zoomies and buy black T-shirts with skulls on them. But now all they have is like tie-dye stuff with wrappers on them.
Oh yeah, they're in bucket hats.
Yeah, and they're appealing to, I don't know, the audience that they want to sell stuff to, and it makes me feel like my place in the world is shrinking.
And you look at the girl behind the counter at Zoomies, and you said, "Ma'am." I'm really old.
But all this to say, being in a mall was a surreal experience because it seriously has been like a decade since I've been in one.
It's super weird there.
It
now.
was the oddest.
Malls are sketchy, dude.
It was very odd.
Yeah.
It genuinely felt like walking into a time machine.
Yeah.
Like, or an alternate reality. Like it was odd.
They're not good.
Yeah. Anyways, back to Julian Assange. I don't remember why we started talking about malls or what.
I brought up Orange Julius
story.
again. It was a joke. They're signing that he's doing his little book tour. He's speaking.
He's doing
other countries are like, this guy is a leader.
This guy's great. Well, then he started releasing stuff about other countries.
Yeah, and
then
like,
they started being like, we don't like this guy.
No, it's kind of like it's kind of like when you become friends with the person who's really funny and they make fun of everybody else. You know what I'm talking about? Like that person at your high school who was just like a jerk to everybody, but it was funny. So you're like, so you're like friends with them.
Yep.
You're trying to be buddy.
Yep.
All out of, I don't want you to make fun of me.
Yep.
You know, and then they turn on you anyway.
Yep.
And that seems like what they were doing with Julian Assange, where they were like, hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you for releasing that about the United States, those horrible monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because we would never do anything. Why are you telling us? We were friends, man.
We were friends, bro. But it wasn't just governments. He was also exposing
individuals, corporations.
Corporations. There was in 2008. He exposed a lot of the banks about what was going on that led to the housing crisis. I shouldn't say he, because at this point, WikiLeaks was a large group. There's a lot of other people that were involved in it.
I think he takes the flack because he started it.
He's the operator of at the end of
the day. He puts his hand on a manila folder and says, I feel that this one was right. So did WikiLeaks expose the housing crisis stuff before or after the crash?
It was after the crash. Well, I guess it was in the middle of the
during
crash.
The crash. So look what happened.
During the crash,
Got it.
yeah. And so by this point, the U.S. has put their case together, and they basically put out this order to have him extradited to the U.S. So he can be tried for his crimes. And so he is like kind of avoiding this.
While they don't get tried for theirs.
I mean, that's accurate. He's trying to avoid his extradition. And I just want to take a note for a second. I can't say most words, and I feel like I just said extradition very well.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a word, but go ahead.
So he's avoiding his extra dice. Hey, anybody got some extra dice in here? I forgot mine.
Go ahead. Keep going.
So he's trying to avoid this. And then this in 2010.
Yeah.
While he was in Sweden, before he was in Sweden, a little while before that. And then he was back in the UK. And then now Sweden is like, hey, this stuff has come out. Basically, he had some sexual abuse allegations come out about him.
Somebody WikiLeaks him?
Yeah, they were trying to extradite him back to Sweden to try him for... You see the look in my eye for a second there? I was like...
Yeah.
Swedia?
To Swedia?
They were trying to get him extradited back to Sweden. So now he's got two countries that are like, hey, we need you to come here so we can arrest you. And he's
why
like,
don't you come hang out over here?
Yeah, all of his ads.
Reason.
All of his Facebook ads are vacation ads.
Vacation to Sweden. Take a sweet break.
Okay, anyways. So he's in the UK, and the UK takes a stance, and they basically were like, we're with the Swedes and the Uniteds on this. And if we see him, we're arresting him and shipping him out to one of you guys.
Oh, wow.
Because, I don't know, they were trying to play politics.
Oh,
I
yeah,
guess.
they got stuff hidden too, though.
Yeah, they were like, we need to take this
we
guy
got to
down.
get this guy off the streets,
Yeah,
man.
this guy's got to go away.
So where is he now?
Well, here's what happened. In 2010, he walked into the Ecuadorian embassy and pleaded asylum and had all his paperwork together. And they were like, okay. And so he camped out in like a back office apartment thing that they set up for him.
Yeah.
And immediately upon arriving, so he dressed up like a delivery driver.
Okay.
Waltzed in with a box, and inside the box was his papers to plead for asylum. And so then almost immediately after he pleaded that asylum, word got out. And then from that point forward,
someone posted on WikiLeaks. UPS
WikiLeaks
driver just went into the Ecuadorian, whatever.
Equator.
No. They went into the and pleaded asylum. Send.
From that day forward, for roughly 10 years, there were 10 British police officers outside that door at all times, ready to arrest him if he walked out the door. And he literally didn't leave the building.
So he's effectively under arrest.
Yeah, they've got him under house arrest in the Ecuadorian embassy. And the British Parliament, that's what they're called, right? The British government.
Yeah.
Parliament. They're like, if he walks out these doors, he's arrested. We're sending him off to
But
Sweden.
can they do that at the embassy?
What do you mean?
Can they do that? Like that's technically
That's Ecuador. Yeah, so they can't go in. The police can't go in there, and they can't take him. But
Okay.
if he walks out the doors, then they can arrest him.
Okay.
So they're literally just hanging out.
But he's got like a yard and stuff.
Well, I mean, this is in like the city, and so it's
then
like,
you got to plan which embassy you go to. You know.
yeah, you have to pick an embassy with a backyard.
Yeah, you can't
gotta
just go
be
to a
smart.
small embassy.
Yeah, you need a big embassy. This embassy, you need to look for an embassy suites.
You need and you need to find like a realtor for embassies who
Yeah.
can help you find an embassy that fits your needs. I actually love the HGTV show, Embassy Hunters, right? And so you tour 3 different embassies,
Yep.
and you're like, this
there's
one's
three-
really.
There's 3. I don't know.
And they always choose the one that you don't want them to choose.
Yeah, you're always upset about it.
They
and
always choose the middle one,
and
the
you're
one
why
that's
did
like
you
middle of
choose
the
that
road.
one? Yeah, it's almost like they're actors. But you
Yeah.
know, these people, they did commit international crimes, and they've got world powers coming after them. So
Allegedly.
So Julian is in this embassy, and while they're there, Ecuador was treating him really well. They wired new internet connection to the embassy.
You,
so that way-
you run a website, right? All right, we're gonna get you faster internet because you want to keep running that. We don't want to keep you from your
we
work.
don't want to keep you from what you do. So they were basically like, "Hey, we'll help you do this."
But
if you
imagine that
don't
you're
look
a
at
person
us."
who works at an embassy.
Yeah.
Right? You're just going to work every day.
Yeah.
You're just there at your job.
Yeah.
And then some dude rolls in and now he lives there.
Your boss comes in
For
and it's
10 years.
like, "Hey, Mike. So last week,
Hey, Mike. So last week.
this is
Yeah.
not Australia.
Oh, well.
This is the Ecuadorian embassy too." But he comes in, he's like, "Hey, Mike. So last week,
I know, but they
we gave you that promotion.
Are they all from
and
Ecuador?
You got that new office.
And we're
But
going to need that office
We're gonna
back.
need that back because this guy who runs this website,
This UPS driver?
yeah, he needs to live in your office."
That's fine. Is it just a couple weeks? Yeah,
I don't know,
something
probably like
that.
the next 9 years
Probably
or something.
520 weeks. If I had to put a number on it.
That's my ballpark. So they hired a new security agency to make sure that nobody like hired like a strike force to come and get him or something
Yeah.
like that. Like they were protecting the embassy, but they were also protecting him.
Yeah, but he makes it a threat to the embassy.
Yeah, because he's there. And because now there's two, one of arguably the most powerful country in the world.
Yeah.
And then another pretty-
Sweden.
relatively powerful country. That's the most American thing we've ever said on this
The
podcast.
Swedes. Yeah, one's the most powerful country in the world. The other one's Sweden. So it's like, Wouldn't that be cool though if they pulled it off?
They were the ones who got him.
Wouldn't that be the underdog story?
So he's in there, and he's running WikiLeaks from the embassy, never leaving. His family comes every Christmas.
What year does he go in?
2010 in November. Every Christmas, his family comes and celebrates Christmas with him in the embassy.
Like, we're here to visit.
Yeah, we're just visiting.
Did you bring your passport to an embassy?
I don't know, maybe because it's technically Ecuador, right? Anyways, so he.
I'm a world traveler. Never been on a plane, but I've been to every country.
Yeah, they've got a little in Great Britain, right down one of
Where
the
is
main streets.
the Ecuadorian embassy here in the United States?
Avenue. I don't know. Let me Google Maps. Oh God.
I tricked him on that one.
The look on your face.
That was fun.
Man, I misspelled that.
Can we find like
Bad.
I don't. I guess I don't understand how embassies work, but we can figure that out later. I guess
It is. Wait.
Wouldn't it be weird if it was just like in Indiana?
Oh, this is the U.S. Embassy in Ecuador. I don't want that.
Anyway, we can figure that out later. Hey, thank you again for listening to this episode. Making sure that you don't miss one in the future, go ahead and subscribe to this podcast, whether that be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. You'll get an alert when we drop a new episode. And if you want more, if you want something a week early, you want to be part of our Discord, more access to us as creators, you can support this show on Patreon. It helps us go a long way. Nothing that we're doing is possible without our Patreon supporters. If you want more information about that, please text TILLN to 66866. Thank you so much for being here.
So
he's there for 10 years.
He's in there running WikiLeaks from within the walls of the Ecuadorian embassy.
Yeah.
And while he's doing this, he does something pretty significant that you might remember. He leaks all of Hillary Clinton's emails during the 2016 campaign. And now Hillary Clinton is a huge enemy of WikiLeaks and very vocally...
It's like, well, that's very dangerous.
Yeah, very vocally talking about him.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump is very vocally talking about how much he loves WikiLeaks.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I love WikiLeaks. They're great. They're one of the best things about America. And it's like, he's not. Oh, it's anyways.
Well, he's gonna take credit for it.
We all know how the election happens. Well, literally days after the election ends, Trump claims he doesn't know who Julian Assange is or WikiLeaks is.
Yeah. He's like, what? I don't know. I've never been to a mall.
You know, I don't have mall money.
Yeah.
I'm richer than malls.
I don't go to Zoomies. I don't wear t-shirts with skulls on them.
What is the lowest income you could have to still be a mall shopper? Or wait, highest income you could have to still be a mall shopper?
Go. So somewhere between you and me.
I'm not a mall shopper. This is the first time I've been in years.
But you shopped at a mall, didn't you?
I guess I'm a mall shopper. So pretty quickly in Trump's presidency, the dialogue shifts, and then the Trump administration, early in the presidency, very sharply begins to pursue Julian Assange.
Yeah, they're like, dude, you know exactly what happened too. Is he becomes president, and then they're like, you know, he can find out stuff, right? And he's like what?
Like
he can
what
find
kind of
out stuff? And like, well, I mean, like he knows. Here's some stuff he can find out. And they're like, yeah.
Yeah, we need to arrest that guy.
We hate this guy.
Anyways, so he does that leak and he's back in the news and he's doing these.
Sounds like he's due for another one.
He's doing these press conferences from the embassy, but what he's doing, it's the most, I don't know what to call it, like World War I movie type of thing, where he literally is in the middle of London or somewhere. I'm pretty sure it was London. And he's walking out on the balcony of this embassy to the streets with all the police below, all these reporters that are just constantly filming this embassy now. And he comes and just walks out and does this speech about his leaks.
Yeah.
And then walks back in the apartment, and everyone on the street's like, oh, it's Julian.
From the balcony.
So years go by of this. And then in the late 2010s, I believe it was 2017, Ecuador's president, his term ends. And so a new president is elected and takes
New
power.
president is like,
And the new
Mike needs his office back.
the new president is like, you know what would be cool if we weren't opposing, the United States and
Sweden. He's more afraid of Sweden.
And so they started trying to find a reason to be able to kick him out of the embassy. They under their law, they didn't
Doesn't
have,
flush
they had
the
to have a
toilet.
good-
This is like a bad roommate.
So they fired their security agency, hired a new security agency, which is a little sketchy. And then they planted cameras throughout the whole embassy and throughout his suite. And like secret cameras. These aren't like they set up a webcam
Like
somewhere.
little garden gnomes with cameras for eyes.
They were putting cameras inside the fire extinguishers,
Yeah.
in the restrooms,
Hidden cameras.
and they were watching everything Assange was doing, trying to find a reason they could kick him out. And then eventually, they just did. They were just like,
all right, you gotta go.
They took away his razors so he couldn't shave. But really, they were like, it's a weapon. That's what they said. But I think when it happened, he got kicked out. They pushed him out the door, and then the British police were standing there and they arrested him. And they shipped him off to Sweden. And while he was in Sweden, he was serving his sentence. It was a 50-week sentence. And he's serving his sentence, and they had him psychologically evaluated. And they said that he was exhibiting signs of people who had been mentally tortured for a long period of time, which it makes sense because the guy,
he's living in this embassy.
He lived in this single room,
Not being able to go
apartment.
outside.
Not going outside and not having any personal contact, really. There was his dad. At the beginning, he had a lot of family that was coming out and seeing him.
Yeah.
His wife ended up leaving him.
I mean, he's essentially on house arrest.
Yeah. And his wife left him. She got custody of the kids.
Yep.
And so he stopped seeing his family. And his dad was the only person who would come visit him. But his dad lived back in Australia, so his dad was coming back ultra occasionally to see him. And so the guy...
Right.
had basically no connection. And then when the president switched, he started to have not only a couple world powers wanting to come down on him, but now the one place where he was actually safe was turning on him as well. And so it seemed like he was genuinely going insane. And on top of all of that, he was running a website that was dealing with some of the darkest things people are doing in this world.
Right.
And
So he's knowing about all these
yeah,
things.
which could not be good for your psyche. So his behavior, that's what they cited for when they kicked him out. The Ecuadorian government said that his behavior had become erratic, and they deemed that he was dangerous for the people in the embassy, because he was kind of becoming erratic and crazy. He goes to Sweden. He goes through his trial. And at this moment where we're sitting right now, he has not been sent back to the U.S. yet.
But he's going to be sent to the U.S.?
There is a chance. It seems like the jury's still out on whether or not he's going to leave or not.
Okay.
Whether or not they're gonna send him back out after the sentence or not. But it's it's an interesting thing because there's this big discourse where there's one side of the map says, hey, this information deserves to be public. The world deserves to know about bad things that are happening behind closed doors from people in power. But then there's this other camp that thinks that these are things that compromise security.
True.
And they are confidential for a reason. And releasing them is bad to the safety of everybody involved within those nations.
Right.
And so it is a moral gray area he's operating in for sure. What's the most troubling about the scenario is at the end of the day, what Julian Assange is doing is he's publishing articles from other people, from other sources. He
himself isn't the one doing all the things.
No, and he's not going out and stealing these. There is, in the case of Chelsea Manning, he did walk her through how to steal it.
Sure.
But
he's basically just a vessel.
Yeah. At the end of the day, he's a reporter. He is like any news source that has a source that told them something anonymously, and he published it. And so the precedent that's being set here is genuinely a very nerve-wracking situation, because if the U.S. does go try him, one, he's not even an American citizen. And so for them to try him on the grounds of anything close to treason doesn't make any sense, because he's not an American citizen. But then two, it calls into question the entire thing of journalism, because if you're not safe to publish something that a source comes from you, no matter who it's going to harm, that puts us in a really weird spot going forward.
But if he's helping gain access to classified information, then that itself is a crime.
That itself is a crime. But that is the lowest...
Citizen or not.
That's the lowest sentence he's facing. I think that's a 7-year sentence.
And I'm saying, like, if they try him for that, that seems fair to me.
Yeah, I would agree
I know
with
they're
that.
not trying to... I know that that's not what we're really going for.
Yeah.
You know?
So out of... he's facing, I think in the U.S., it's a 120-year sentence.
Jeez.
He's aiding
For
and
those
abetting.
at home, that is like... that's like 500... That's 5,200 something weeks. That's 100 years. Right? And then... So he's looking at like... You know? That's a lot of weeks. He's looking at over 6,000 weeks.
Thanks.
In Mike's office?
Thanks for breaking that
Hey,
down.
can you... Mike, I know you just got this fancy office and stuff, but this guy's going to live here for the next
6,000 weeks.
200 weeks. Yeah. So
He's really been accruing that PTO.
yeah.
So I think the aiding and abetting Chelsea Manning is a 7-year sentence.
Sure.
The rest of that is 120 years, and that is all just you told our secrets.
Yeah, and that to me is sketchy because
Because at the end of the day, let's be honest, what he did is no different than what
a whistleblower does.
All these other news sources that are talking about what's happening in Ukraine. He didn't do anything different. He had a source who told him about war crimes that a world power is committing somewhere else in the world.
Right.
But
it didn't make the world power look good. So here's what I think about classified documents.
Yes,
right. There are some classified documents. There's probably documents within that $750,000 page, like $750,000 pages.
Yeah.
That it's not the bad PR pieces that they would be worried about as much as it is. There's included in that would be strategy and important things that are needed to be keep quiet because if they're using it in this tactical procedure, they're probably using it in other tactical procedures. And if that's out, then they can't do that anymore and it endangers their soldiers, right? So there are pieces that I understand as far as classified, leaking classified things.
Yeah.
So, but what I don't like is whenever that just becomes, oh, the government's hiding stuff because the government's sketchy. And it's like, well, no, but sometimes in order to negotiate, you don't want to have all your cards on the table and just be like, okay, how do we do this when you're negotiating deals with countries that have bad motives.
Yeah.
Or when you're going to the table with China or Russia or North Korea or whatever it might be.
Nuclear powers.
Yeah. Other powers that you've got to have some stuff to either offer or to say, okay, and you can't just have all those things out. So I'm not saying because there's some that would have the attitude that just by having classified information, that is sketchy. And it's like, no, that's how politics works.
That's how life works.
That's
all have
how life
classified
works.
Documents.
Sure. But if you're going to go after somebody and that's where I go, it makes sense if they're going after them for the documents that were released that would then endanger either future relations with other superpowers or whatever, right? Yeah. But if you're going after them for the PR bad, then that's a whole other...
Which is what that's what it feels like. It feels like
it's always going to be framed that way, though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
It's always going to feel that way.
I think the question is, the major issue is what precedent will this set?
Sure.
Because we need a society where publishers and reporters have the ability to shine a light on terrible things happening in our world. But if something like this were to happen and he were to be arrested and face this sentence, I think it could very severely hamper someone's desire to do something like that.
Oh, for sure.
In the future. And I think it opens the door to allow those sorts of proceedings to occur.
And I'm on the side of we should definitely encourage free press.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we can't just vilify a government for having secrets.
Yeah.
We can't.
I think the thing is,
and not secrets.
What are your
Secrets has
secrets?
a bad combination.
What are your
Yeah, for sure.
secrets?
Yeah. Should the government operate with more transparency when it comes to bad image things?
Yeah.
For sure.
I think when you look at things like, and I mean, I don't know if we would ever see a day where the government would act like this, but I think the best way to behave when someone within your organization makes a mistake, you have to acknowledge that publicly, and you have to talk about what you're doing.
And not
about
even
that.
just government. This goes to churches. This goes to businesses. This goes to personal relationships. It's the same way of like, if you hurt somebody, you have to acknowledge that and own up. And where governments and corporations and individuals get in trouble is when they just go,
hide it. Yeah,
well, can you believe that girl told you that I was sleeping with her on the side? I can't believe her for doing that. And it's like, well, yeah, but you were cheating on your wife with her.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, but she's crazy and she shouldn't have said that. You're like, what?
Yeah. I think there has to be an acknowledgement, and there will be consequences for that. But yeah, putting it in the dark and leaving it in the shadows is why there are so many people who don't trust governments.
And that's the other thing I'm saying is that, there's a lot that gets swept under because it's classified. But then there's also people who are like, oh, well, if it's classified, that must mean that it's bad.
Sketchy. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, well, that's not how anything works. Nothing works in a black and white way like that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Which I think is fair.
Yeah.
So basically where we're landing is instead of 120 years or 6,000 weeks, it should be 60 years or 3,000 weeks.
Yes. Yeah. And I would love for it to be, here's what I think his punishment should be. I think this man should have to spend 10 years managing an Orange Julius in a mall. And I mean 10 years, whether that mall is open or not. If that mall closes in 3 years, Old Navy moves out, and it's just, they don't even turn the lights on anymore. It's just him every day with a blender. Just
he's making smoothies for rats. And he's named them all some variation
I was just going to say.
of Giuliano,
Giuliano? You went with Giuliano first. Julian.
Giuliano.
And Giuliano is the first one you went with? All right.
I made you a smoothie.
All right. Are we done?
Yeah, I guess we can be.
Okay. Yeah, he's in there making smoothies.
Yeah.
And the playlist still works, but it's just fiddle music.
Hey, if you like this episode, we've got more of them you can watch here, or just some highlights, some of our favorite parts from episodes before. Please make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any future episodes, and leave a comment and let us know how we're doing. So thank you for being a part of this community. We'll see you again on the next episode of Things I Learned Last Night.